Who's happier, conservatives or liberals? Recently in the journal Science, there was an article entitled Conservatives Report but Liberals Display Greater Happiness, and it caused a great hubbubaloo on the internet. The paper looked at three things. One, a study of responses of conservatives and liberals on both a self-assessment for happiness and their score on a self-deceptive enhancement scale, known as the Balanced Inventory of Desirable Reporting, or BIDR. From this, they found that while conservatives reported to be happier, they said, quote, self-deceptive enhancement fully mediated the ideology life satisfaction association, meaning that when the conservatives' score on the BIDR were controlled for, there was no difference between ideology and happiness. Two, a look at the members of the U.S. Congress. It looked at both the positive to negative ratio of words used by members of by conservatives and liberals, and it looked at how often the conservative politicians and liberal politicians made genuine smiles, known as Duchenne smiles, or Duchenne smiles. I don't know how to pronounce it. And the third thing they did was they looked at Twitter updates and found that conservatives on Twitter used more negative emotion words than liberals did. Now, regarding the balanced inventory of self-deception, that inventory was not designed to estimate how genuinely happy someone was, but whether the person was more deluded into thinking that they have more positive personal traits than they really do. And so the authors hypothesized that conservatives are just deluding themselves into thinking that they are happy, but then they say that it's also possible that conservatives are genuinely happier because of their delusions, and to roughly the degree to which they are deluded. Of course, we're talking about degrees here. Both a typical conservative and liberal are in the healthy range of self-deception. But it is a robust finding that conservatives generally have bigger egos than liberals. It's a relative thing. You could say that it's liberals who have the problem, if you wanted to. Now, for smiling in photographs, the validity of smiling in photographs was taken from an analysis of yearbook photos that showed that people with genuine smiles in their yearbook photos live longer, which is apparently associated with happiness. Of course, the Congressional Pictorial Directory is not a yearbook, and I know that for me, I certainly would not be smiling at all if I were at Congress. I would be deadly serious all of the time, and I would be suspicious of anyone who wasn't. So I do not view that as a valid metric at all. There are several reasons why a congressman may choose to not smile in their congressional photo. The validity of the happiness to the usage of happy words ratio comes from an analysis of the diaries of nuns. It showed that the nuns who used more positive words in their diaries lived longer. But political speeches and political tweets are not personal diaries. It's all about politics. Perhaps conservatives in the political arena have a lot more to be negative about. Aside from things like gun control, abortion, and school choice, conservatives are generally losing. And so being more salty about politics doesn't necessarily imply a saltier overall predisposition. And to the conclusion of the study, I would say that conservatives are probably happier because they kill themselves less and have a lower incidence of depression. This is kind of like, how do we know the Earth is warming? Because the ice is melting. Or if you wish, how do we know the Earth is cooling? Because the ice is expanding, right? How do we know that conservatives are happier? Well, because they have fewer suicides and fewer cases of clinical depression. To me, this is a much better indicator than smiling in Congress photos, political speeches, and Twitter updates, or some hypothesis about conservatives deceiving themselves into thinking that they're really happier when they're really not. So this has been Ryan Falk of Daily Data, and I'll see you next time.